We're joined now by Neil Katyal, a former acting Solicitor General in the Obama administration, Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for The Washington Post, and strategist Juanita Tolliver. Nice to see all of you. Neil, you've served in the Justice Department. What is the significance of this assessment from someone this high?
I think it's significant. I mean, the investigation has been hamstrung since January 6th in ways, and I think I'm pleased to see now some talk of seditious conspiracy charges being brought because, Ari, as you say, the statute, which is 2834, doesn't just bar people who are agreeing to overthrow the government, but also people who try to take or possess any property of the United States by violent means. And as the video you were just showing demonstrates, I think that's happened. Having said that, I do have some reservations about Mr. Sherwin talking about the investigation in this way and then going on to say yesterday, oh, I'm not going to play Monday morning quarterback and talk about all of the people who were let go. I mean, the fact is he was the chief law enforcement officer for D.C. and he let hundreds and hundreds of people go on January 6th. And he said, I don't want to play Monday morning quarterback and give me a break. I mean, I just want like a first grade touch football person to like just look at this and say, this isn't the way we behave. People talk about the Black Lives Matter arrests, but, one other point of comparison is in June of 2018, when there was a protest at the Capitol about Trump's immigration policies, and it was peaceful, 600 people were arrested, as opposed to like 6 on January 6th.
Yeah, Neil, I was actually going to ask you about that, so I'll go right to that now. I mean, people watching this would wonder, gosh, which is it? Is it this James Comey rule that you can never talk about an open probe unless James Comey decides to, and then sometimes you make exceptions? Is it the rule of some folks we've seen in some U.S. attorneys' offices who really don't talk, or others who talk out of pocket a lot? Because any viewer would wonder, and that's the question to you, Neil, given that it's an open probe, obviously, later he could weigh in, but what do you think he's up to weighing in now in such dramatic fashion?
I'm not sure. I mean, when I was at the Justice Department, we had a rule. We spoke through court and court only. I never spoke to the media once when I was there. Now, obviously, in some very extreme circumstances, you do have to say something to the media. But it's not clear to me that this is by any stretch that. This is more on brand for a Trump appointee, which this guy was in an acting capacity, which is he's on his way out and he better, talk to the media and get his profile up as he goes and interviews for private sector jobs or something. I don't know that this was authorized by his boss, the new U.S. attorney, Channing Phillips, who's an extraordinary prosecutor. I think it is unwise. It's not the way the Justice Department operates.
Really interesting, especially the nuance on sort of the multiple aspects of it. Gene Robinson, from a non-legal perspective, we know that the big words are what people want to hear when it comes to holding accountability. So we hear about treason. Well, legally, it has a narrower definition. We hear about sedition. I think people know sounds big, up to 20 years in prison for some of these folks. What do you see as the wider import if there's going to be accountability that they do throw the book at them?
Well, I certainly think they should throw the book at them for what they did. And what the specific charge ought to be, you guys went to law school. I didn't. I'm not quite sure. Sedition is a weighted word and a weighted charge, and if it is applicable in this case, and I think it very well might be, we have to know that there's a bright line between what was done and regular protests.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.